Emmanuel Acho from FS1's Speak on the expectations for Deshaun Watson this year in Kevin Stefanski's offense.
Let's not allow Deshaun Watson to lower the bar for us and then watch him jump over a lower bar. Remember who Deshaun Watson is. Remember who he was.
There you go.
He led the entire National Football League in passing yards the last time we saw him play a full season. It didn't amount to anything. They went 4-12, the Houston Texans did. Remember who the Cleveland Browns were right before Deshaun Watson. While Deshaun was simultaneously leading the league in passing yards, the Cleveland Browns had a coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski, that year. They went 11-5. With Baker Mayfield, they won a playoff game. With Baker Mayfield, they won a playoff game. So what the Browns were thinking, well, if we add one of the best quarterbacks in football, a top 5 quarterback at the time, to one of the best teams in football, the Cleveland Browns, then that is Super Bowl as well. Not to mention, we have a coach who just won Coach of the Year. The reason I cut you off, James, is because we got to remember the Cleveland Browns were an 11-5 football team with Baker Mayfield, led by a Coach of the Year who didn't have a quarterback. Insert quarterback, then the Cleveland Browns, in theory, are supposed to be what we are all claiming the Jets are supposed to be, Slick. I think Deshaun has pressure like Shady said as well.
Brad, when you look at it in that lens, Kevin Stefanski has not had a healthy quarterback that would be well, Jacoby Brissett was healthy. He played well, but he's not considered a starter. Baker Mayfield, 11-5, tore up his shoulder. And it's the national people that are kind of lowering the bar, I think, for Deshaun Watson. I think the local people expect him to be really good.
I do too. And it's a lot of this, right? Like, it's a lot of expectations and pressure. And I don't know that he feels it that way because it's been such a quiet off season. They've kept him kind of out of the limelight. And but when you see these national shows, there's a lot of that, this is what the expectation should be. I've seen on that channel before them talk about the same thing or and kind of rant about the money and the money should lead to the expectation and stuff like that. I think that Deshaun, for me, my expectation is that, he doesn't necessarily have to return fully to 2020 form. Sure, I think he'll play at times like that or for stretches and hopefully he gets hot late in the year like that. But, if he can be a top 10 quarterback, then they will be successful. Like, he doesn't have to be everything all at once like everybody wants him to be.
No, the way I would describe it, he has to be the guy in the fourth quarter that other teams say, man, I don't want him to have the ball with 3 minutes left because there's a pretty good chance we're going to lose if he does. If he's that, they're in really good shape.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? I expect that. Like, I expect him to play well. I really do. Like, I just think that, I don't really understand the logic in pointing to the smaller sample size and saying that's going to be the reality moving forward. It would seem to make sense to point to the larger sample size and say that's more likely of what we're going to get in the long term.
The only way the small sample size would be more likely is if he was 33 or 40. If he's 27,
exactly.
he should be entering the prime of his career.